Hi, Peter. Can you hear me?
Hi, Peter. Yes, how are you doing?
Yes, I'm very good. Thank you. I saw Nick was trying to get in, but I don't know why he
Right.
wasn't able to.
Not sure. I'm sure he will join us shortly.
Okay, nice background.
Thank you. Yes, it's the idea behind it is that what we're doing is so disruptive that it's going to shake the earth. So that's why we're having it. Besides,
I like
it's better than the messy background I have because of all my child's toys. So it's better to have.
This is the new normal, Peter.
It is, yes. Well, we'll start getting back to normal hopefully soon, but it's not gonna be the normal. We used to. It will be different.
No, a new normal.
Absolutely, but
Sure.
as many people say, we're very resilient. So it will make us, the whole experience will make us stronger. It's just sad that so many people lost their lives, and I think others.
Yeah.
There will be a lot of others who have recovered, but they've had some considerable damage to their health. So it's not just about the people that died, but those that recovered. Some of them will have health implications going forward. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Which is probably where our charity comes in, because we are a carers charity, and if people need care as a result of that, it may mean more work for us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very alarming watching the news that obviously the government is positive that the numbers of deaths are going down, but looking at the figures for the retirement homes, it's very alarming. That number keeps growing.
Yes, I'm not sure what the answer is about that. I mean,
No.
in our case, typically, we support people who care individually, so
right, okay.
it's not something that we necessarily have to be concerned about.
Yeah. How are your carers coping with PPE? Because that's been a major topic and challenge lately.
We've had quite a lot made for us, and I think we're okay as far as I'm aware. So yeah, we've had numbers of supplies delivered and so forth. So we're okay.
Right. So I'm just texting Nick back. He's just saying he's had problems.
Okay. Yeah, I saw him arrive, but then it couldn't connect for some reason.
Yeah, not sure. It was very easy for me, but maybe he's trying from his phone, so that could be a bit tricky.
Yeah, could be. Sure.
Yeah. Anyway,
so,
whilst we're waiting for him, I thought if maybe you can give me just sort of a brief overview. I mean, he told me very little about your communication through social media, where you were looking for some support around cloud computing. So just it'll be interesting to know what you're trying to achieve in the charity, and so I can then present and tailor so that we can see how we can able to help.
I mean, I think we're looking for the. Oh, hang on a minute. Is possibly trying again. I'll just see whether I'll let him in. Hopefully that'll work. There we go. There we go.
Oh, there he is. Hi, Nick. Oh, he's not connected to audio yet. Okay.
Yeah, no, he'll be there in a minute, but hopefully he'll get the idea that he needs to connect up.
Oh yes.
But I did try and switch everything on to start off with, but it seems to like to say, Nick, hi.
Hi, Nick. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Can you? Yeah. I can hear you. I can hear you, but can you hear me?
Can you hear us? Yeah.
Most things are working as far as I'm aware, so hopefully.
No, Zoom.
Go on. Yes, no?
Not yet.
I can hear you now.
There we go.
Okay, perfect.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, how are you doing, Peter?
There we go. Yes, we're contact. Very good, thank you. Yeah.
No, I mean, Zoom has been by far the best platform. I mean, because we do a lot of calls, we use all the different platforms, different people, we use different platforms, but Zoom has really been, in terms of quality and how easy it is to use, it's definitely been the best.
Okay, that's always good to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, we're using it ourselves because obviously the staff are all distributed now and working from home. So we're using Zoom on a regular basis to have meetings, update everybody, make sure that projects are moving forward and so forth. So
Sure.
So yeah,
Sure.
that's certainly something that we're using.
Absolutely. So yeah, Nick, just before you joined us, Peter just started telling about the charity and what they're aiming to achieve, so we can see how we're able to help.
So
okay, great.
just to put it as succinctly as possible, we'd like obviously to be able to improve the number of things that we're doing. That would be fantastic. And if that's possible using cloud tech to lower costs, then a double win-win scenario would be very a very good news for the charity as far as that's concerned.
Sure.
Just very briefly, the kind of main 4 applications that we have carers time logging, so that's care workers support time logging. We have HR system, we have QuickBooks, and we have general administration. So nothing terribly complicated. We've got about 20 people who typically want to use the system. On a busy day, that might be all at the same time, but it's probably not. I'm guessing that's not 100% of the time. A lot, we've got people sort of in and out of the office as well. So I doubt 20 people would be using it at any one time, but conceivably it could happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay, cool.
And I presume your QuickBooks is the desktop version, not the QuickBooks Online.
I suspect it might be the online one.
Okay, because that's already obviously a cloud version.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Okay.
I think one of the things that we might find is that we don't have much technical expertise on site. And that means that what would be great, it would be to have a simple interface that meant that more could be done by a kind of non-technical person to kind of shift the emphasis away from technical support. But I think we are still going to need technical support.
Sure. Okay. And do you know at the moment, I presume the servers that drive all the whole infrastructure you have, are they sort of locally based in a server room here somewhere or in a data center?
Yes, we have a server room. It's Windows based, so we have a public can access. Okay. So probably very standard.
Sure. And how many servers are there that you have?
A great question.
If you know.
Yeah, that's a fairly basic one. What we're going to do is we're going to come back at the end of all of this with a much better profile and submit that to the people we've been talking to give you guys a slightly fairer chance of answering some of these questions.
Sure. I mean, if you want, I can send you a list of some basic information that we need that we can work on.
Terrific. Yes, that would be wonderful.
And then we can see how we're able to help. So
yes, thank you.
Okay. I mean, is the general strategy to, if possible, and if it's affordable, obviously, to migrate everything that you have in the cloud and operate completely from the cloud?
I think if that stacks up, then I don't see any reason why not. I mean, we need to understand the implications.
Sure. And I presume you have done some research about the benefits of operating from the cloud, adopting, or do you want me to go through some of the basics?
I would say that some of the benefits should be that there's a great deal of technical expertise in the cloud already, probably packaged with some of the packages that we might try and partake of. That's a general perception. In detailed terms, I wouldn't be able to comment any further than that, because that's as far as I've understood, and I'm actually also seeking confirmation of that.
Sure. I mean, one of the great challenges in having local infrastructure is the inflexibility which it has and the cost to maintain it, because over time, hardware is outdated quite quickly. So you need to invest in, the capital expenditure is quite significant, especially if you need to suddenly grow what you have. Whereas the big advantage of the cloud is that it's very much a a pay-as-you-go or pay based on what you consume as resources. So
kind
it
of
shifts,
a bit like plug and play.
Pretty much, yeah. So exactly, you shift from capital expenditure into operating expenditure, and that makes quite a big difference, because you don't have to upgrade your hardware. You don't need to have multiple people looking after it. One of the services which we provide is actually either ad hoc or complete cloud infrastructure management, which is from our support hub in Eastern Europe, which is some of the best specialists in Europe in support. But it's a very cost-effective.
Which parts of Eastern Europe?
It's in Bulgaria. No, Bulgaria.
Oh, Bulgaria. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest hubs in IT hubs in Europe. So.
Okay.
So that is one aspect. Another aspect is also the scalability, because with shift in demand, which is going to happen after the COVID-19, and especially in what you're doing, I presume maybe you don't have spikes in demand that like some other sectors would see, but the cloud enables you to scale the resources which you have dynamically very easily and very quickly. So essentially, if you, for example, what you have at the moment, on-premises servers typically have only about 18% utilization. So essentially, you have the hardware, it's outdated, but on average, you're using about 18% of the resources. Whereas in the cloud, that is a considerably higher percentage.
Is there a diagnostic that we could run right now that would help, people like yourselves get a better idea of how the system's being used, and as you say, the extent to which it's being used?
I don't know the answer to this question. I have to ask my CTO, who is the technical guy.
Okay.
But I'm sure there are tools.
Yeah, I think that's the case, Peter. There's there's a number of things you can do to give you some insight into what you've got, as well as to understand around your load. From my background, I'm working with Peter S here and assisting him in the growth of his business. But I have a background many years ago running some IT organizations. And one of the attractions I've seen that ties entirely to my past life is that your total cost of ownership through the cloud just drops. And the key thing, as Peter S just said, is that you move off this capital expenditure to an operating expenditure, and the fact that you then have a different life cycle of ownership of these IT assets. And that's got to be hugely advantageous, I think, because you don't have to run budgets then for investments periodically, and that might not coincide with the finances or where you're at. And you've got predictability with the cloud pretty much, unless you suddenly change your consumption model.
Yes. Okay. Growth. I mean, if we're talking about growth or substantial tech change, which can sometimes happen, although I haven't noticed it with Microsoft particularly, but then if it does happen, then you've got that upgrade route, which is kind of built in to an extent.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. I mean, you're able to expand the net. If you need to increase it, you can expand the cloud network to include more what they call instances or virtual, which is the equivalent of virtual machines, within a matter of minutes, and that happens automatically and actually does not disrupt your. In most of the clouds, it can be done without disrupting your operations. Whereas to do that locally, you would have to take a lot of things offline, and it would take hours, if not days, to actually implement any changes.
So that tool that measures, consistency of service delivery. I mean, again, that's something that would be helpful in terms of looking at how the system's performing currently.
Absolutely, yes, certainly. I would say another very important benefit of the cloud is also the fact that it really boosts remote working, because local networks are inherent with a lot of issues. I mean, even large enterprises which are spending millions and millions of pounds, they still have a lot of failure points and issues. And when you have a lot of people spread across the country, in some, it can, you know, a failure point can mean that they cannot effectively do their work.
Yeah, I understand.
Whereas the cloud, you know, that's one of the biggest benefits.
We're much more of a local organisation. I mean, we're based locally. We're northwest London. It's Harrow. Most of the people that we employ work locally. So it's quite a strong local focus.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But obviously, COVID has meant that we are now having to work remotely, like lots of people, and you know, relying on people being able to access server information, for example, in our case via virtual private networks.
Yes, which can fail quite a bit. It's not the easiest thing.
Well, I'm just going to say that Microsoft software is, I think it's got better, but it's still quite old in some respects. So you know, there must be. My feeling is that things must have moved on.
Yes, well, I mean, everybody is developing, but there's so many different options out there. But I mean, even through our development process, we've seen challenges with VPN connections. You know, and you know, I would say the stability of the cloud, because you know, people like Microsoft and Amazon, you know, they're at the forefront of technology, and the way that their data centers operate is, you know, unmatched by most organizations independently.
Yeah.
So I would say definitely, from what I'm hearing, the biggest benefits for you would be most likely cost reduction. You would most likely expect to see a boost in performance as well, because of the way the cloud data centers are optimized. And of course, you know, depending on what you're trying to improve going forward, there could be a lot of services that could be beneficial. So that's something we can discuss in due course.
Can you give me some examples? Can you give me some examples of that?
Well, I mean, the cloud can be a platform for development. So, for example, you know, you have a whole host of analytic tools which can analyze performance across the different aspects of your operations. Mm-hmm. You've got a lot of cloud tools which, for example, from budgeting to something that would be useful for your company. It could be shift scheduling, things like that. I mean, there's thousands, you know, data analysis tools.
I mean, I'd be tempted to say that you're going to see value around some of the areas that you operate today that you might benefit from digitizing. So if you look at processes you perhaps have that are run sort of typically manually or people-centric, they have to be in a place to do something because that's the kind of way the form's filled in or something. The ability to digitize that and then deploy it very cheaply in the cloud, you know, is the kind of thing you can start thinking about that will help you in the provision of services or in the provision of reporting to stakeholders, payment providers, etc. Whatever the key route paths are for reporting, etc.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. I mean, that would take some migration, I believe, from where we are now.
Yeah, potentially, but your ability to do things quicker and at a lower cost might make a good business case. I mean, the key thing to do is to sit down and figure out opportunity areas and then try and work out a return on investment for developing something that would do that. And then, you know, you just make a clear business case decision on your priority list. Okay.
All right. I mean, that's a sort of longer exercise, which obviously we would have to commit to and put resources to and so forth. So, you know, we can potentially do that for sure. But yes, that's, I think that's a good option for us to consider as to, you know, how we decide to move forwards. So yes, thanks.
Sure. Peter, can I spend a few minutes just telling you a little bit about Smart Migrator, what we're doing, so you have a general sort of overview?
Yes,
So,
please.
I mean, my background, I'm an entrepreneur. My background is over the years is in different sectors, from property, automotive, aftermarket, clean tech as well. And I started Smart Migrator together with my co-founder, who is also my cousin. And he's one of the biggest experts in cloud migrations in Europe. I mean, he's been in the sector since from the time when most people didn't know what the cloud was. He had a long-standing history with Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, which subsequently part of Hewlett-Packard merged with Computer Sciences Corporation to form a company called DXC Technology, which is and all the migration side went to DXC. He was the first cloud architect for DXC Technology in Europe. He grew the team, and subsequently he's been involved in consulting various American organizations on migrations. And it was through his many years of experience in the field that he saw so many challenges that are happening. You know, migrations are quite painful for organizations. I mean, his experience has been mostly with large enterprises, but not many people know how painful the process can be and how expensive it is. I mean, there are widely publicized figures about migrations, but the fact is that the sort of dozen or so major players and sort of a few dozen slightly smaller underneath, they're really focusing on large companies because they're trying to make big money. Another problem is also the fact that a lot of the processes for migration are the same if you are migrating, say, 20 or 50 servers, or if you're migrating 1,000 servers. So consequently, there's a lot of manual effort involved, which is the same. And that really drives the cost higher. So for the majority, I wouldn't say all, but certainly the majority of SMEs, years ago, there must be a better way of doing things. You know, I mean, the big players, they're focusing on enterprise. That's great, but what about most companies are not able to migrate? And that's where the idea behind Smart Migrator came. So we are developing the world's first fully automated migration platform, and in the middle of everything is simplicity. So we're trying to simplify the process, make the platform very, very easy to use as a step-by-step guided process with very minimal interaction. So the idea is that people don't need to have advanced skills. Ultimately, even non-technical people will be able to complete migrations using the platform. And really simplifying and fully automating the process. And this makes the platform a lot cheaper, making the process affordable to companies of any size, even down to migrating a couple of servers. It's the same simplicity if you're migrating large volumes of servers or small volumes of servers, because all the complex automation, the clever stuff is going behind the scenes in the platform. We're also making it very secure. So typically with migrations, what happens? You engage a managed migration provider, you have to give their staff full admin access to your IT infrastructure. And then you hope that by the contract you have signed, there won't be any misuse of data. However, that hasn't been always the case. There have been cases in the past where, there have been staff of some migrating companies that have abused this power. So we also putting a lot of emphasis on security, and the fact that it's all automated eliminates the risk of human error. So we're combining a lot of different elements. We are achieving migrations a lot faster, a lot cheaper. I mean, by a lot cheaper, I mean 3 to 10 times cheaper than traditional migrations.
I know how costly they are.
I mean, their migrations are between $1,000 and $3,000, and that is for large enterprises. I mean,
what about reconciliation between systems?
As in, what do you mean by reconciliation between?
Well, say for example, many years ago, I was in tech and we did a system migration, and what we found was that the new system, being different to the old system, required a lot of data cleaning.
Right, that is part of the. So it is true. A lot of servers over time, they accumulate what they call dead code, dead data, because you don't always.
It's basically bad coding at the front, the old system where, you've got what should be illegal code combinations.
Yeah, and also you have resources that you think you're using, but effectively you're not. So So what actually happens is when we in the beginning of the migration process, we have to analyze the some aspects of your infrastructure, of your service. So basically, we use a tool. So for example, for AWS, we use the native AWS Discovery tool. And what it does is it starts collecting non-sensitive data about your servers and your traffic. So it looks at the operating system, so the specifications of the servers. It looks at the incoming and outgoing traffic, so you can see the traffic and dependencies between servers and also in the outside web.
So that's a diagnostic tool just in itself.
Exactly. So that is the foundation on which the migration is done afterwards. So that process typically is done by a tool. It's initiated manually. In our platform, it's initiated automatically. And from that data has then to be analyzed. So I would say definitely, what we're doing is we're bringing a huge disruption to what is considered the norm in migrations, and we will make migrations accessible and affordable to any company globally. And that actually fits in very well with what you're doing. At the moment, our first version, which we've just completed, and we're fundraising in order to expand the team and build on to make to enhance the functionality. It actually migrates Linux servers to AWS, so Amazon Web Services, automatically. For Windows servers, there's still a little bit of work to be done. I would say we're probably about a month or two away from doing that. But one thing I should say as well is, apart from the development work which we're doing for our software, we have a reasonably small but very, very experienced cloud migration team. So what my co-founder did was he got certain people, selected migration experts together. These are all former migration architects and engineers from some of the biggest companies. We're talking likes of HP, Accenture, not Accenture, sorry, HP, IBM, Atos, and one or two other. So we're talking a group of about 10 people. But for one reason or another, they left their previous big employer. They're now doing something independently, or what that gives us is the incredible capabilities to deliver even complex migrations, but without all the complications, all the cumbersome processes which are happening in big enterprise. So so our team is able to drive down the cost, and because the majority is in Eastern Europe, we also benefit from the economies differences. So so we are able to, I would say, for Windows, it will probably be a combination of using the platform. If you decide to use our services, it will be a combination of using our platform for part of the process, and then certain members of our team can step in and then the rest manually. But you would certainly expect multiple times lower cost than what you would encounter from one of the big established migration providers. But I'll be able to make a proposal for you once I have a bit more information about the servers that you're looking to migrate, just sort of like a scope of what you're trying to achieve, and then we can make a proposal for you.
Yeah, we need to get a lot better on that front. I think we need to have as full a technical specification as we can get, because I don't think we've got one at the moment. So hopefully we'll put one of those together. But I mean, this is all helping us because it means we can have that specification, and then we can better have conversations like this, which I apologise is possibly a bit incomplete, really, from your perspective. So again, apologies for that.
No, not a problem. I mean, we're here to help, and if I'm sure we can help you achieve what you're aiming to do. It's just it would be good to get an understanding of the aims. And
yes, of course.
Have you thought about which cloud you're
No,
considering, or no? Not yet.
No. It's because we're firmly geolocated currently, so everything is new from our perspective.
Sure, no problem. Well, I would say that when you're able to put a bit of more information for us, we'll make a proposal. We can discuss the various options as well.
Yeah.
And as I said, I'll send you a list of it'll be 4 or 5 questions that will help you to create some data for us that we can use.
Yes, that would be really helpful. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Perfect. Anything I can help you with? Any questions that you?
No, thank you. I think we've talked about a good number of things. Nick, is there anything you want to add?
No, I just think it's a great opportunity for you to make use of some of the cutting edge technology that's being developed in this space. And Peter, if there's an opportunity for you to do something that leverages the automated software, it's potentially a much smoother and painless process, perhaps, than having to engage a long transition manned by, I don't know, however many people necessary.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm absolutely 100% certain that we can help you, and I can't guarantee we'll be the cheapest, but you'll probably find that the proposal we can make will be very much more attractive than a lot of other sources. But it's the combination of capabilities and cost. So it's it's cloud experts are in high demand. There's a major shortage of migration experts. So I'm really I would say one of our strongest points is the kind of people we have in our team, because it's that companies are trying to steal quality talent all the time, and we've managed to have some really great guys in our team that can deliver for many years. They've done migrations for some of the biggest companies in Europe and globally. So we definitely have the capabilities.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I'm reading you loud and clear.
Perfect. Well, lovely to speak to you, Peter.
Thank you.
Keep safe, and I'll follow on with an email with some of the questions that as I mentioned.
That would really be helpful. We would much appreciate it. Thank you.
Perfect. And send my warmest regards to your carers. I mean, it's they deserve applause for what they're doing in these difficult times.
They're doing a great job. Absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. I wish you a great week.
Thank you, Peter, and you too.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
See you, Nick. Bye-bye.
Bye.